Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to MME Weekly. And let me just tell you, I am so excited because today we have the entire Hyatt team with us on this beautiful panel, and we're going to be talking about their new solution when it comes to hybrid meetings. My name is Mike Ferreira. I'm the owner of Meetings Made Easy. And right now we're live on Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything in general about the event industry that you want to ask us, please, this is the time. So again, I have some of Hyatt's best industry experts. And today we're going to be talking about the new Hyatt Convention Alliance solution that they just recently have rolled out. You want to watch the entire show because let me just tell you, hybrid meetings are the future and it's happening right now. And everyone on this panel is going to educate us with what Hyatt is doing throughout the nation. So let me go ahead and introduce you to some of our panelists. We have Sherry Swan with us, who's the Director of Sales at the Hyatt Regency Orlando. Sherry, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. It's beautiful and sunny here in Orlando, Florida, although it's a little bit chilly. I think it's about 57 degrees.
I'm jealous, my friend. And then we're going to jump to Chicago with Jacqueline Kennedy, who's the Director of Business Development. How's everything in Chicago, Jackie?
Well, I actually am in Denver. So I've spent so much time in Chicago that probably many people think I live there too. It is a second home for me. So, but Denver's beautiful, and I know Chicago got a lot of snow recently. So hopefully everyone's bundled up and ready to go over there.
Either way, they're both really snowy right now and cold, but hey, I love both of those cities. So that's awesome. And then we have Chris Howard, who's the Director of Sales and Marketing of the Hyatt Regency Dallas. Chris, I'm a big Cowboys fan, so I'm always going to love Dallas no matter what. How are you?
Doing great here in Dallas. I think we got Sherry beat by 9 degrees. We're in the high 60s today. So, although I'm in the office pretty much all day long, so hopefully I can sneak out shortly after this call.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And then my good buddy, Ben Premack, who is the Area Director of Sales and Marketing at Hyatt Hotels in Denver. Ben, how are you?
Doing great, Mike. How you doing? And Jacqueline already shared how nice it is in Denver, but we're also excited because our mountains are getting a ton of much needed snow this weekend. So come out to Colorado, come ski, and we'll look forward to having you.
That's awesome. So we know where you're going to be headed this weekend with the family.
Oh, most definitely.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Let me just kind of quickly go through. I don't necessarily say this is industry news. It's just, I think it's great news for everybody on the planet is the number of administered doses of vaccines has surpassed the total number of COVID cases around the world per the New York Times. That just came out today. So I think for everybody, that's a great sign. We're on the way of coming back. We're on the path. And I think also meetings are as well.
Yeah.
So what I want to do now is talk to the entire team. And this solution that you just recently rolled out, you're one of the first to have this take place. How do you guys closely work together, and how are you successfully conducting hybrid meetings at your hotel? And maybe kind of get an overview, because some people feel that maybe this is new, but it actually has been around for a little bit.
Yeah. Do you want me to jump in, Mike, or?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
All right, cool. Well, the Hyatt Convention Alliance, we've been a group together here since 2013, well before pandemic days. So this is a tight-knit group of hotels, and all of our leaders have always been intertwined. So I think because we were so connected pre-COVID, carrying us through the pandemic into where we are today has just been really seamless. So we've kept our eye on the ball. We know that hybrid is here, but to us, our clients have always been doing some sort of hybrid event, hybrid meaning in person with some type of virtual component. So for our teams and our hotels, this really isn't anything necessarily new. However, we are talking about it a lot more, and we're moving into different types of hybrid events. So I think that's where the evolution of hybrid and how we're kind of journeying along together as a group may be kind of how we've kind of stayed in front of this a little bit.
And Jacqueline, I'll add that I think we saw an opportunity where we needed to truly just start building some confidence, right? And hosting meetings and getting back face to face. And we saw this opportunity with the Convention Alliance to create a solution that makes it very easy for a planner to say, hey, how do I do this? Well, all of a sudden you've got 10 great hotels with 10 leaders and 10 great sales teams that understand it and can help walk them through the process, because for some planners, it is new.
It's completely new.
And if I may, Mike, this isn't just us ideating in a silo, right? This is feedback from our customers and many months of evolution to develop these programs that, yes, the technology may not necessarily be, but how it's packaged and how we are resonating it with our customers is certainly new in this post-pandemic world we're living in.
I think because hybrid is occurring now, it's definitely the wave of the future. And statistically, I know we were talking about this yesterday, you're going to have a higher attendance in face-to-face events by having a hybrid component. So I give you guys so much kudos to really jump in front of this and to have this solution available to event planners and groups right now and in the future, because we all know this is not going anywhere. This is probably going to be around forever. So I think it's just phenomenal. So can I ask you, like, why was the solution created? Why do you believe it's such an overwhelming success? Does anyone want to answer that one?
I'll be happy to jump in here, Mike. With the premise of what the Hyatt Convention Alliance is based off of, which is our 10 hotels in 9 cities and our ability to be able to work together, we knew that, to your point about hybrid meetings happening and increasing overall attendance, that as organizations begin to become more comfortable with having meetings, they're going to be having meetings at smaller levels, but there's still that opportunity to be able to get the larger group together as a whole, whether it's in person in certain cities or virtually online. And by having multiple hotels in multiple cities offering really that seamless solution, the consistent packaging, pricing, et cetera, that we knew was going to be easy for us to be able to put together, it gives us that ability to be able to start small and grow that much bigger. So we knew that it was something that our customers would be interested in. We knew it was something that would be easy for our group to be able to work together to compile and then roll out. And now it's just a matter of continuing to educate customers to make sure that it's something that's in line with what they want to move forward with.
Ben, do you want me to show you the graph of the United States, so basically people can get a sense of where everything is laid out?
I think that'd be great, and then Jacqueline can dive into a little bit of our East Coast, Central, and West Coast opportunities.
Sure. Let me get Jacqueline involved really quickly. Here you go, Jackie. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So, as we've been saying, we're 10 hotels in 9 cities, and based on this map, I think it's a really nice visual to show you where all the Hyatt Convention Alliance hotels sit. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening in Chicago, because Chicago's open for business. As of a week and a half ago, the city has loosened some of their restrictions where they couldn't host any events to now they can host up to 25 people, and restaurants can host up to 25% capacities in the restaurants as well. They've been doing outdoor dining in these beautiful igloos, which are a really fun experience. So the city is open. What I love about Chicago is that it's a city that people live in and work in. So the people that live there are just Chicago strong, and they are resilient. And I think it's exciting. We have our Hyatt Regency Chicago downtown, one of our flagship hotels, as well as Hyatt Regency O'Hare, which is right by O'Hare Airport in Rosemont. And if you haven't been to the Rosemont area, they've got a whole shopping district and restaurants and things to do there. So we've got some really great options for you, especially, if you're coming in to the airport, as people are flying and, wanting to limit their travel, we've got a hotel right there to make that super simple for you. So, so then I know Ben's going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the West Coast. So Denver, of course, my hometown now, and a little bit about what's happening in San Diego and Seattle.
Yeah, We're excited about how the West Coast is beginning to reopen. We know we've heard challenging stories day in and day out within various cities and states around the country, but we're seeing that positive news really grow out on the West Coast in a very consistent basis. In San Diego, we've got our beautiful Manchester Grand Hyatt San Diego, and while California has certainly been challenged over time, knowing the fact that they recently lifted their stay-at-home orders to be able to have outdoor dining, have salons open. Well, I might not have to worry about the haircut. Salons are open in California, and they can actually welcome essential meetings now into their hotel, which is just fantastic. And our beautiful and new Hyatt Regency Seattle. I mean, we love the Hyatt Regency Seattle. It's so new. It's such a devastating thing for us to see with these beautiful new properties with what we've been dealing with. But Seattle is now open for meetings. They can operate up to 25% capacity, 200 people. That was just recently announced, and I know that the hotel there and our other properties there, including our Grand Hyatt and Hyatt Elevate, are excited to welcome additional meetings. They also have the new convention center that's being built in Seattle that's going to be opening in mid-2022 with over 30 plus events already on the books over there. So Seattle's ready to roll. And then there's Denver. We are open, ready for meetings, ready for business. Right now, our max capacity is 50 people for meetings, but there's a brand new 5-star certification that's just been put in place that once hotels are approved, will exponentially grow that number and in a quick timeline with how our cases continue to decline. Hopefully, in the short term, of 100 to 175 people in person. And the most exciting part also is our convention center, which had been an alternate healthcare facility for the last bit of time, and as of the end of March, will officially go back to being a convention center with not a single patient ever checked in to the Colorado Convention Center. Great to support our local community and make sure that we were there. Even better to know that there's not a patient that was ever checked in.
That's great.
All right, I think I got to pass it off to Chris in the center of the country in Dallas to talk a little about our other properties.
Absolutely. So I'll give an update here in Dallas as well as San Antonio. So Texas right now is actually at 75% capacity. The way Governor Abbott has structured it is based on the hospitalization rates within the county that you're in. If you've eclipsed 15%, then that 75% capacity comes down to 50% capacity. So it will change county to county and based on, again, that hospitalization rate. And currently, Dallas and San Antonio are at 50%. Now, if you look at the trajectory of the cases, thank goodness they're going down right now. I fully expect to be back up to that 75% mark. Call it in another 4 to 6 weeks, no later than that. And depending on some good news, maybe before then. So currently operating at 50%. We have been as high as 75%. Fully expect to get back there. And that's kind of been all the way for the past 6 or so months. And we've had a lot of great success. We've executed over 70 events within that approximate 6-month time frame, ranging everything from association board meetings, small corporate events. We've hosted bowl football teams. We've done continuity business over the summer months. And actually, this coming weekend, we have 4 events checking into our hotel, which are incredible.
Wow.
We've got a dance program that's arriving. We've got a volleyball tournament that is checking in today, actually. We have, a corporate board meeting, and then a film crew will be staying with us as well. So all sorts of different industries, organizations. Great news is that we're meeting again. I know San Antonio has seen some great success. There was a boxing tournament held there. I believe it was December. And they actually created a bubble for the producers, the media, and the boxers themselves to great success. And I know they've been hosting some nurse overflow from the local hospitals as well in the new year. So Dallas, San Antonio, Texas is open. Hopefully we'll get to that 75% mark here in just a few weeks. And then I'll kick it on over to the East Coast.
I have one question, Chris.
Yeah, of course.
Before we jump to Sherry. Sherry, I apologize.
Okay.
I just want to know, what are the individuals that are booking these groups saying to you, Chris? Because I think everyone that's watching right now has that question in mind. These events that are taking place, what are they saying? Why are they booking? What's the basic conversation like?
Yeah, I think it is certainly organization to organization and what their need is, right? The dance group that we have arriving is very different than a small corporate board meeting that we have. I think everybody is certainly concerned with the cleanliness efforts that we've put together. We are a GBAC certified hotel, so we've gone through a rigorous cleaning and cleanliness guidelines, and that's the vast majority of our Hyatt hotels out there have gotten that certification. So we have a third party that certifies our cleanliness efforts. We have a hygiene manager here on property. We still are employing social distancing, physical distancing within the meeting spaces, as well as in all public areas. Face coverings are required. So a lot of the line of questioning have to do with certainly the cleanliness efforts, as well as just what the hotel is doing to ensure safety and the lack of risk once they get into their space. But meeting to meeting is so very different, just like, as you know, sourcing different RFPs is so different group by group. It's ultimate flexibility, right? You have to not live within kind of the box of your prior agenda and your prior RFP, and the hotel can't either, right? And so you have to figure out a way to work within the restraints that either the local health authorities are giving you, or in this case, the state of Texas. And for the most part, we've done a very good job of executing, and I'm very proud to say not a single case has been tracked back to one of the events that we've hosted.
Really? That's a big statement.
We've been able to do this extraordinarily safely. And you know what? Business is booming right now. The back half of this year, it's busier than we saw in the back half of 2019. Now, certainly we're fielding certain questions in the first half, and a lot of our organizations are currently considering potentially shifting to the latter half of the year. But for those planners out there, for those organizations, get those RFPs out now, because some of these hotels are going to be running a significant occupancy come the latter half of the year. Knock on wood, the trajectory is going to continue with the great news of the vaccines. And, you know, Johnson & Johnson hopefully will be to market relatively soon. AstraZeneca's will hopefully be to market relatively soon. And a lot of certainly what I've been reading is that herd immunity can certainly be accomplished as early as August, September. I'm no infectious disease expert, so don't quote me on that. But that is extremely incredible news for our industry and everybody that's involved in it.
So it seems like consumer confidence is almost there with what's going on in your neck of the woods. So that's phenomenal, my friend. And also, you had a stat that you mentioned about RFPs, what you received with this month compared to the previous months that you mentioned yesterday. Can you kind of repeat that for the audience out there?
Yeah, so we track our RFPs, our incoming leads on a not even weekly basis, on a daily basis, just to see the momentum that's building and what that looks like. And thankful to say that beginning the week of January 10th, we saw the most leads that we had seen since the first week of May. And that story alone is extraordinarily encouraging. And thankfully, it has only built from there. So every week following has been a new record since that first week in May. We haven't quite eclipsed where we were in March and April, kind of before everything fell off, when I think the world realized that this was a longer run than anybody had anticipated. And we're certainly not at pre-COVID levels yet, but we're on the right trajectory. And it's just extraordinarily encouraging to see the leads come back into our funnel. I know that's not unique to Dallas. Chatted with all my counterparts. Certainly those on the call today can echo that same data.
And then jumping over to Sherry. Sherry, you're in Florida, so I can only imagine what your RFP leads look like, my friend.
Yeah, we're so fortunate, first of all, and it's a very similar story to what Chris is describing in Texas. But we, like I said, in the Southeast, very fortunate. We're open for business. We have felt like at times Florida that we were living in a bubble here compared to everything else that was going on around the world. But our great properties here in the Southeast, like the Hyatt Regency New Orleans, open for business. They're at currently 50% capacity of their ability to host events. But when you've got a property that has 200,000 square feet of meeting space, that gives them a lot of flexibility to bring events in and do it safely and socially distanced. They had a great success early on back in the spring when they partnered with Tulane University and actually brought their students into the hotel to test them, quarantine them before they went off to school face to face to ensure that they were returning to a safe school environment. So that was a really big win for our property in New Orleans. And, with, I believe, double the amount of meeting space than any of their competitors, that they really have a great advantage there at that property and a great staff. And then Hyatt Regency Atlanta, they have no restrictions or guidelines as far as capacities, only that when they're bringing events into the hotel, they need to practice social distancing. So again, a similar size property, 200,000 square feet of meeting space, a lot of flexibility, a lot of creativity to make events happen. In Atlanta, I think their point of differentiation is they have 3 separate towers. So they could actually, keep similar groups in certain towers and separate them and socially distance them from other groups that enables them to really deliver safe events and no crossover of attendees. And then, of course, my favorite hotel, the Hyatt Regency Orlando. We've been so fortunate. I think we've hosted over 120 face-to-face events in the last 7 months. They started off small and they're continuing to grow in size. Safety is our number one concern. And as Chris elaborated on things like the GBAC certification, the Safe Hotels certification, Hyatt stepped out early on and recognized that we needed an expert in these new protocols. So we all have hygiene leaders on property that are responsible for training and just the accountability factor for everything that we need to do to ensure safe stays and safe events. But we've learned a lot. I think we've been successful here at HRO because we have listened to our customers. We're leaning on them. They're leaning on us. We've been collaborative and we're building upon the success. And I'm just so thankful because it's given me the opportunity to interact with customers and sit on events like this to build that confidence, because that is exactly what we need to do, is to tell our stories of how we're accomplishing this, down to the details. How do you socially distance in an elevator? Well, sometimes you roll call groups out of their meetings and only allow a certain number of people to walk towards the elevators, and you only allow 4 people in an elevator. But it's things like that we've worked really hard on, and it's working. As far as the business levels are concerned, it's similar to Chris. We see Q3 and Q4 as a turning point for our hotel and our industry. The lead volume has increased. Because of our situation here in Orlando, we're definitely seeing groups that are who can't host events in other destinations look to Orlando to move their events. So we're just building upon the success and very excited about it.
The same question that I asked Chris, I have for you. What are your clients saying when they are going out to RFP and they're contracting with you? Are they sick of virtual? They want to get back to face-to-face? And I assume it's the same confidence that they have booking with Chris's properties that they have booking with you, is that you guys are prepared to host face-to-face meetings.
Yeah, I think first of all, these groups that are traveling, they're saying we need to travel. We need to get back to doing business and our livelihoods and what we do best. And they're also saying we want to be part of the solution. We want to do this safely. We want to partner with a brand that understands and knows what they're doing, that we trust and we feel confident in. And then we can both tell the story together. It's one thing for our hotels to sit here and say, yeah, we've got this, we can do this. But when our customers are saying, Hyatt Regency Denver, Hyatt Regency Chicago, San Diego, Orlando, they got this, then we're just all stronger. We're smarter and we're stronger for it.
I love that. So essentially partnership. That's great. That's phenomenal. This is the first that I've heard that, so that is great news. I appreciate that. I really want to jump to questions right now because they're starting to come in. So let me stop sharing my screen, and we'll get to Kirsten. And does anyone want to specifically jump here and answer her question?
I can jump in on this one if you'd like. So from what I'm seeing, as far as the corporate client's concerned, I think it really depends on the corporation. You know, those large corporations, you know, I'll go with like a Deloitte, for example, right? Like they have their own in-house doctors. They are on strict guidelines that they have to go through a rigorous process to get meetings approved by certain levels of leadership. So, as far as like future, I mean, I think they're looking at the future, but for the here and now, I'm you know, maybe Chris can jump into like the smaller companies and corporate groups are that maybe are local or they can do things like that. I think that's what we're seeing there as far as the corporate side. But I know for associations, just alone this week, I've gotten hit with like so many RFPs for future years and wanting to talk multi-years, which is what we love to do. So future years are filling up as well. You know, we talk about the back half of 2021, but now that we start to look at the future, you know, those prime dates are starting to become sought after and being booked. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and I'm happy to add to that a little bit, Kirsten. From my experience, it truly is organization to organization, and a lot of it has to do with their economics, whether or not they have been impacted negatively, or organizations have been impacted positively by the pandemic, and certainly would have the ability to host a meeting just based on the finances. But to answer your question specifically, a lot of our corporate customers are going this hybrid route. Where they want to get a smaller group of people in person, have that face-to-face interaction, have that camaraderie that you simply can't get as best as you try in these virtual experiences, but also open it up to those that aren't able to join in person, and whether that be because of their own level of comfort in traveling, or if that's simply their organization's doctrine that they can only get together regionally, maybe avoiding air travel or something like that. Because each company has such a different mandate to their travel, it's very difficult to establish a pattern right now.
100%. And also, like on my side, for my company, for some reason, and it might have to do with the, you know, when the president got instated, or the new year, we saw such a flood of RFPs come in. So we are no longer doing virtual demos. Everything is hybrid moving into the future. The RFPs that are coming in are for 2021, 22 and beyond. Because let me just tell you, everybody, the space is so compressed in the United States. You want to book now because it's already happening. I've seen it. I've dealt with it with my own clients. We are looking at hotels and there's not dates available because meeting space isn't there. So my clients now are having to look at maybe cities that they did not necessarily have as their first choice, or they're booking hotels that wasn't their first, second, or third choice either. It's scary out there, but it's scary in a good way because business is coming back fast.
That's
yeah,
right.
Mike, you bring up a really good point as far as about RFPs and how fast business is coming up and how limited availability is really what the future is looking like because of new lead opportunities. But we also want to make sure that we lean on the fact that some of that limited availability is because we do have, in a very good way, so many programs that are wanting to hold on. And to Kirsten's question about how's the corporate customer receptive to in-person meetings, a lot of our new leads, and I know there was another question that came through about the percentage of leads. A lot of our new leads are falling more into that corporate segment, right? Whether it's from a financial aspect or leadership decisions that are coming on board. But we don't want to forget about the business that we already have on the books that does fall into other various segments and similar situations as to why they're holding on to their meetings, but that they're having to look at now, almost a full year into this, the experience of virtual meetings and how they operated. They're having to look at their next meeting coming up and needing to think about things differently. And that's where I think as we talk about, hybrid solutions and the various options that we're able to, and creative options we're able to provide to our customers. Those same things are being put in place right now, not just with new RFPs that are coming in, but really in that planning process for those programs that are holding on. And it's helping build that confidence that Sherry mentioned in customers to hold on, because there's other things that are being introduced to not just have their meetings safely, but to be able to provide options to be able to extend their attendance beyond just who's coming face to face.
And that leads me to my next question, Ben. The solutions and options that you're putting into place with the Hyatt Convention Alliance to support your meetings as far as group streaming, can you talk a little bit about that?
Certainly. Well, our hub and spoke package is certainly in partnership with our PSAV partners at Encore, and something that we've put in place to make sure that it really is seamless and consistent from one hotel to the next. I am not a AV and streaming expert, so I'll be the first person to put that right up there in the corner. But we do have experts on property to be able to work with our hotels, and because we have a consistent partnership, not only amongst our convention alliance hotels with our director of sales and marketing and various sellers and event planning managers, but also amongst our AV partners, it makes the ease to be able to offer, whether it's a hybrid meeting operating out of one hotel or a hybrid meeting operating amongst other hotels. It gives us that ability to be able to connect together as partners and help educate the customer as well as walk them through the process as easily as possible.
And as far as the hybrid options, Chris, there's this OWL technology you were telling us about. Can you dive a little bit deeper into this OWL technology? OWL is in the bird.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually brought some show and tell. This is the famous OWL camera that I have been referencing. And I've actually had it for about a year and a half now. I got it just for my own needs. I had a very remote team and was looking for different ways to engage with them and have them feel like they were part of the team on property. So I found this technology, and the camera is just incredible, right? So you can see at the very top of it, this is a 360-degree camera. So it's perfect for board meetings. And it's the camera that we use and that all Hyatts have now. So certainly Hyatt Convention Alliance, our cluster of 10 hotels, kind of repackaged this and branded it our own. But Hyatt meetings or hybrid meetings by Hyatt is out there and accessible at any Hyatt in the country right now. And they all have one of these. And you set it in the middle of the board meeting, and it captures a 360-degree view of the room itself. And then as the speaker talks, he or she can be walking around the room, and there's 5 cameras in here. Those cameras will follow whoever is talking. So then let's say, for example, Ben is in the room and he starts chiming in on the other side of the room. The camera will actually pan to where that conversation is coming from. So it's an extraordinarily interactive tool. It is part of the hybrid meetings by Hyatt package that's out there right now. Included in that package is also the internet connectivity, which is hardwired just in case there's any wireless issues, as well as the laptop, the video to broadcast it, in addition to 2 whiteboards. So it's really your executive boardroom package, and then that's really beefed up with the new technology that we have. It's $2,000 a day, and the way I look at that is a lot of kind of local events for meeting space alone. It can cost you upwards of $2,000. So as far as price accessibility, I think Hyatt has done an extraordinary job of making that accessible. And then the whole kind of idea of this package is that, yes, it can live within one hotel, but where the hub and spoke notion of it comes into play is that you can also satellite it out to other locations across the country. So I'll just use an example of our Hyatt Convention Alliance, right? Let's say we want to get our sales teams together, and Ben wants to have his sales team in Denver and Sherry in Orlando and myself in Dallas. Well, we can all host our teams in our own space, plug in this camera, and then satellite up together to the hub location, right? Hub, and then we're all spokes, so that now we're all in meeting together. And it's extremely flexible because you can use whatever software platform you want, be it, I think we're on StreamYard right now, or you could use Microsoft Teams, you could use Zoom, whatever organization that you partnered with, you don't need to incur an additional cost to go into Hyatt software. Certainly, our audiovisual partners can provide that option to you. But the idea is that this is a turnkey plug and play, $2,000 a day, and you're off. And it's been received extraordinarily well, and we're hoping to continue to tell the story so that the momentum builds.
Wow, that's amazing. So as far as price goes, when you mentioned $2,000, I know we're not going to quote you on this because next thing you know, all your RFP and discussions and negotiations going to get out of hand. But a price range, when you say $2,000, that's just for the AV. Like, how does it work out? So if, like, let's just, for example, we have, a 500 person meeting and I have 100 in Chicago, Denver, down with Sherry and you and Dallas and everybody else. Like, how does this all work? Is there a range? Like, how can the audience better understand this?
So the framework that I just went through and that $2,000 is really best for smaller meetings, call it 8 to 15 people, right? No more than that. And that's what the $2,000 best accommodates. Now, as a Hyatt Convention Alliance, we have actually scaled that, and Hyatt, in partnership with Encore, has also done that. But specifically for our group of 10 hotels, we have scaled it and try to be one of the first organizations to market to create a mid-size / large-size hybrid meeting package as well. And this is where I'll kind of pivot to Jacqueline, and she's going to kind of go through what that looks like and all the different pricing options. But before I do that, let me also mention that with the hybrid, the small package, the up to 15 people, all of our 10 hotels have agreed to a $99 guest room rate. So if there are some that want to stay over, you have that guaranteed $99 rate, and that's through 2021. And then we've also agreed to, and this includes the package across all Hyatts, a $99 food and beverage package where you get an AM break, breakfast, lunch, and a PM break, all for a cost of only $99. So we're trying to make it cost accessible as best as possible. And that is certainly echoed in the package that we've created to scale the 8 to 15 person meeting upwards of 250 per location. And that's where Jacqueline can speak to that a little bit more.
And the one thing I asked you, Chris, is it flexible? Do we have to stick to these options and these packages? And what did you say?
It is absolutely flexible. We practice yoga all the time. We're all about well-being with Hyatt. And I think if you're not flexible in today's day and age, then you're losing out on opportunities. So flexible,
100%.
and we never live by what's printed. Know that this is a starting point. It's to inspire thought. It's to inspire creativity. And certainly we love getting creative with finances as well.
So for everyone out there, Hyatt equals flexibility. So this is phenomenal. Yeah. Jackie, you're up.
All right. Well, thank you. So I'm excited to talk about some of the larger events. So once, I think we're all looking forward to, we've heard earlier today, we can host up to 200 in certain locations, up to 50% capacity in others. So as you're building your confidence, as your clients are building their confidence, to know that we are ready for you if you are interested in this type of style of meeting where you have different, you may still have your virtual meeting platform that you're using. And then you've got some regional events that you're hosting throughout the country. Perhaps they're drive-in or whatever that might be to make your attendees feel a bit more comfortable taking that first step. We know it's going to kind of be baby steps for some people. So we want to just have a package ready for you all. So that's for the hybrid hub and spoke, more larger concept. And this is up to 200 people is how we've priced it out. And I think that's what really is, we want to take the guesswork out of it. Because Mike, I think a lot of people call, when I talk to clients, well, it sounds really expensive. Where do I even begin? Can I even fit this into my budget? So we wanted to address that all up front and, kind of to Chris's point, it's a starting point, but it gives you information so you can get numbers on paper and see if this is going to make sense for you and your organization. So I don't know if you have the hub and spoke flyer, if you want to throw it up there. Otherwise, I'll just kind of talk through really briefly what we have in the flyer, and then we can share that out with everybody to make sure you all have copies. And if you go to our Hyatt Convention Alliance LinkedIn page, it's there as well, so you can take a look at it after this. But all of our social distancing diagrams are right there at your fingertips. You click on the link, it takes you to all 10 of our hotels. gives you all the diagrams so you can see how we can host you safely in our space. And then, that one's the gathering limits by state, which is an awesome tool too, because I know it changes daily, and we can share that out. But don't worry about it, because I can run through these things too and share it out later. So we've got those social distancing guidelines that you're going to find on there, and the capacities. We have the food and beverage as well, the package pricing starting there that we've all agreed to, with the service fees and the taxes, so you can really get an understanding of how much it's going to cost at very discounted pricing, kind of like what Chris said. We're going in really aggressive. We want, again, the $99 rate that our hotels have agreed to, and more details on the pricing of the food and beverage in there, but it's very cost effective. And then we went, again, another step further. Because all 10 of our hotels work with PSAV Encore, we have a great relationship with them as well. So we talked with them about this and said, how can we come up with a very aggressive, affordable audiovisual package? What would you even need? So they came up with, if you're going to do 200 people in a ballroom, you're going to need a stage and screens and internet. And so they put all that package pricing together. And one thing we're hearing too is that with these hybrid meetings, because you're maybe doing different time zones, you've got more of these programs are becoming shorter in length. You're not going into a ballroom at 8 a.m. and not leaving till 5 anymore. It's kind of these abridged days to make sure you're covering all time zones. So we've broken it out into half day packages as well as full day, so that you have that information available. And at the end of the day, it's a starting point to have the conversation. And we are just really looking forward to having you into our hotels. And whether it's fully in person, hybrid, we will even be your location to host your production for your virtual event. Right. The sky's the limit. Just don't, we're here and we're ready.
Yeah. And one thing I want to mention, Mike, just to further illustrate Hyatt's commitment to this hybrid meeting, is that Lisa Murphy, who I believe is actually on the call right now, Hyatt Salesforce Director for many, many years, beloved across the industry. She has actually taken on the role of spearheading this effort for the entire company. So we've dedicated an extremely experienced Hyatt Salesforce Director solely on positioning Hyatt as number one within the hybrid meeting experience. So this is not a short-term ploy for us. We understand that this is going to be a need of our customers, at the very least through 2021 business, and we want to be the hotel company of choice to facilitate that need.
And I think for everyone out there, when it comes to tips for negotiating or trying to understand hybrid, because I'm pretty savvy when it comes to it, but I'm no expert like an audiovisual person. But really what it comes down to is make sure that you have the streaming ability. So what does that mean? Hardwire lines in the general session room. So bandwidth is great. There's no ins and outs as far as the stream. Like my computer right now has a hardware line connected, and we've never had challenges since then. So also, like if you want to have some of your breakouts, hardwire lines as far as negotiation is great to have in your breakouts as well. But hybrid is not that complicated, my friends. It's all that you have to do is book of Hyatt, and that they'll take care of it with this package. Or, if you have to, unfortunately, go with somebody else, you just have to understand is what your vision, what's your goals, because I'll give you an example. You want it to be short during the day because the individuals at home, they're at home, they have a lot of things going on. So it's recommended anywhere from 3 to 6 hours max in the day. And you got to take into mind where the individual sitting at home, there's a lot of things going on. So you want to film like the general session, then let them go on and be on their own at their home and do whatever they have to do. So that's some of the engagement you need on the virtual side. But then you bring them back for maybe like a breakout. And that's why these hardwire lines are so important. But again, the Hyatt package is phenomenal. They do it for you. They make it easy. It's flexible. You can bring in your own audiovisual partners, right, guys? You don't have to use the people on site. I know they're the experts and they should. They know the property the best. But if you have to. So that's a little bit when it comes to hybrid events. It's very simple, and Hyatt's package is so well laid out. I think it's just phenomenal. And this is the future. Statistically, you're going to have higher face-to-face by having a virtual hybrid component. So I think, again, what Hyatt's done here is just phenomenal. And I guarantee you, every single hotel brand, if they don't have it right now, they are doing and working on it currently. So
Definitely.
should we talk about the group offerings as far as what's going on at Hyatt, as far as group booking offerings?
Yeah, sure.
Let me bring up the screen really quickly for you. If anyone wants to speak about that, I'll let that go ahead.
Sure, I'll dive in. All right. So we have our Hyatt meetings offer, which, as you can see with the collateral, is in the process of being updated to extend through full calendar year 2021. And really what this offer provides is similar to our conversations before, is significant levels of flexibility for our hotels to work with our customers based off of what their specific needs are. We know that there are a lot of things that will continue to change with meetings. They'll continue to change with whether it's a confirmed meeting or a meeting that is happening certainly in the future. And we want to be able to make sure our customers feel confident that we will change with you. So we've got really good inclusions that will hopefully be of value to the meeting planner and certainly to the organization as a whole. But I think the most important part about this, and this is what's been consistent with our conversations with each one of our planners, is the flexibility and cancellation attrition fees. Now, these are smaller programs that we're really focused on, where the cancellation attrition fees are waived. However, and you can talk to Sherry, you can talk to Jacqueline, you can talk to Chris, myself, or anybody else on the conventional or other properties. This is that starting point, right? Chris mentioned earlier, talking about what's on paper and talking about what we've officially defined is really where we want to be able to build off of. And we want to work intimately with each one of our planners based off what's important to them, and really what's going to help them feel confident with confirming their event at our hotel. So we certainly look forward to what this offer will continue to bring as we extend it through the full year.
The wave cancellation and the wave attrition is what everyone is looking for these days. I know not necessarily every agreement or negotiation you're going to achieve that, but the more flexible you are, because let me just tell you, usually with our short lists, our clients, the first thing they ask is, what are we going to do if we have attrition damages? And that's why people love the waived attrition or being able to shift and lift or have wave cancellation, because you just don't know what your attendance is going to be, if the group gathering ban, where that's going to be in place. So again, this is phenomenal. I just have not seen anything like this out there currently, but you guys are definitely leading the way. This is great.
Thank you.
Now let's jump to a couple questions, because again, we are on a roll here, my friends. Does anyone want to jump in and answer Raquel's question?
Yeah, I can jump on this one, Raquel. So our Hyatt properties offering hybrid solution package so that's the package that we had described earlier. So I don't know when this question came in, if that was before we had gone through those two options that we had, but yes, it is through Encore PSAV that we partner with. They're the ones that technically own this fancy camera and would facilitate the internet at a lot of our hotels. But it's all included within that, at least for the smaller package, the hybrid meetings by Hyatt, within that $2,000 fee. So it's turnkey. And one other thing that I want to mention, if you do the satellite option, the hub and spoke model, where you're hosting small events and satelliting up to one centralized location, all you have is one Hyatt sales contact that would then coordinate on the back end with the rest of the hotels. So it's seamless. It's very simple, and it eliminates a lot of extra work on the meeting planner side. And then we'll deal with all the nitty gritty on the back end and contracting the additional hotels and just making sure everything is in place. But as far as partnering with in-house AV, yes, that is part of this package.
And I can say for the larger hub and spoke where we scaled it for that larger, 150, 200 people, PSAV went in with a 20% discount for us on the pricing that's in the offer, up for the first 3 hotels. And then if you add, if you want to get into 4 or 5, 6 more locations that you want to include, they've added a 5% discount on top of that per additional hotel. So, we're in this together, and we really want to make it something that works for you.
Perfect.
And
then,
Mike, I'll echo your comments earlier, just having hosted hybrid events over the last couple of months. Feedback from customers is really, truly look at the content and decide what really needs to be live streamed and what doesn't. And that can definitely assist with your cost and staying within your budget.
100%. And here's another tip too for people that have attendees tuning in from all around the United States. Start your event around the middle of the day, because then you get the Central, the West Coast, and the East Coast. That there's just so much that you can learn from just these hybrid models, and that usually is around the time that you want this event to take place. But again, you're right, Sherry. It's what do you want to achieve? What's the end result? So
yes.
Again, we have a question from Tana.
So I can start. I think that certainly is a challenge that every hotel is facing right now, especially our large convention hotels, where you may run 10% occupancy on a Tuesday, and then you'll spike to 50% because you finally have some group base, right? But that's why we're really good at what we do, right? And that's why you trust in a partner like Hyatt and allow us to execute events to the degree that you've always trusted Hyatt to execute the events. We get creative with our staffing, just like we get creative with the execution of meetings. So a lot of our staffing models currently, we're sharing responsibilities, right? I have learned a lot about housekeeping here in the last 5 months. I can't tell you how many rooms that I've stripped. And for some of these banquet events, acting as a banquet server. So you still have the care that you've come to know and love with Hyatt. And that's part of what we're doing, is navigating through these challenging times and figuring out the staffing levels. But certainly of the 70 plus events that we've executed, not once has the customer noticed that we've had to get creative with how we're executing events. So while it's a challenge that we're handling internally, it's not noticed externally whatsoever.
Right.
And I think it's important to also remember, similar to how we joke around about hybrid meetings have always been here. We just didn't talk about it as regularly. We've always had fluctuations in business in our hotels, and our staffing levels have always gone up and down based off the types of business that have come into our properties. So those continued fluctuations of whether it's a leisure customer who's coming in over the weekend, leading into a large group, we will adjust our staffing levels to be able to support the business needs that are in. It's a devastating time to see what the impact has truly been on all of our teams, but that doesn't change by any means our need and our ability to be able to adjust with the business that comes into our hotels.
We have another question from Haley. You guys are very popular.
So I think Jacqueline had spoke to this. The starting point currently in the larger scaled hybrid meeting package that the Hyatt Convention Alliance has put together is already at a 20% discount against published retail pricing. But again, that's the starting point. So just like anything else, let's discuss budgets. Let's discuss what's most important to your group, especially in depending on when you're looking to book. We were chatting yesterday. Just like anything else, it's all about partnering together and coming to those solutions for a hotel. If they don't feel they're going to displace, candidly, a better piece of business, then they're going to get very aggressive with their pricing and work with you. If you're looking to book a week in October that we have 7, we're projecting a sellout, it might be a little bit less flexible with that pricing. But I mean, that's no different than how it was before the pandemic. It probably won't be different as we're talking through this.
And
I think you're going to have incredible flexibility with pricing in the short term, and as demand starts to build, that may become a little bit more restricted. But know that certainly the 10 hotels within the Hyatt Convention Alliance and all of Hyatt, we want to have that conversation with you to figure out a solution that accommodates your budget.
Yeah, I was just going to say transparency is critical these days. We need to know what your budget is and what you're working with, and let us go ahead and work backwards and build into your, we know your goals, we know your budget. Let us try to build a package for you. And I think, for a lot of groups out there that have this upcoming event, maybe it's on the books 100% in person, but they feel like they can't do it. They're getting scared. They feel like they need to go virtual. Bring us into those conversations and let us troubleshoot together, because we just hate to have that decision be made and be like, yep, we're going virtual, but we have so many great solutions now that we want to talk about. And I know, I'm ready to get out there. I know other people are ready to get out there. And your attendees might be feeling like, oh, I don't want to go virtual again. What's the next step? So let us partner with you in that process.
And a lot of destinations are also offering, a lot of CVBs are offering some great rebates. For example, here in Dallas, we have access to a TPIP program that can give you up to a 10% rebate based on your actualized room revenue. And we have access of that through 2021. And that's over and above anything that you're negotiating at the property level. So, and I know other destinations have similar ability to lean on CVB to create additional value. So don't forget about that as well, to help offset maybe some of the escalated technology costs.
Mike, I'll add that, the majority of our hotels, we're meetings and convention hotels. So our AV partners are highly motivated to find a solution that works for our groups, because without our groups, there might not be a lot of business there. So they're the experts, like Jacqueline mentioned. Let's just be transparent. Let's get creative. Let's throw the retail price sheet out the window and figure out a solution.
And Sarah on my team actually commented, this is a great point. You got to think of the attendee journey on site for the live face-to-face attendee, and then also the hybrid attendee at home. It's you got to figure out what is the perks for attending both virtually and in face, and then what's the attendance ROI. So I think as long as you look through your schedule of events and you figure out what is the ROI going to be for the individual sitting at home, and you figure out, okay, that's what I'm going to broadcast from the hotel out to the individual, that's really where you're going to find what works and what doesn't. You don't have to film the entire conference. They'll sign off within 2 hours. It's just too much. So you got to figure out what's the key perks and get that on camera, and then hopefully you'll have a successful hybrid event.
Mm-hmm.
Before we sign off, my friends, because we've just been on fire, it's almost an hour. I just want to quickly ask you, what are you guys seeing for the rest of 2021? What's your overall feel? What's your gut saying? Just because I think that's what the audience is thinking and wants to know, because they might be sitting there with an RFP and they say, oh, I might want to hold off, or I might want to send it to a Hyatt.
I'll jump in. I feel that we're turning the corner. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of optimism. Q3 and Q4, the lead demand has increased tremendously over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And it's not just we're receiving leads, we're also getting signed contracts. So to Chris's point earlier, availability is going to be slim, I think, in the short term. And even over the last year, with a lot of groups lifting and shifting, changing dates, 22 availability, it's interesting where Q3 might have been a difficult quarter for us. Now it's, doing pretty well for 2022, just because we didn't have a lot of availability anyway. That was the quarter that we did have the availability, and a lot of business was able to be flexible and shift into those months. So optimism is the key word.
Very much so, and very, very, very similar in Denver as far as optimism. We've got a gradual growth plan as a city to be able to continue to grow the size of our meetings events. With the hope at some point to be able to get to the likes of the Orlandos of the world, and the New Orleans of the world, and the Atlantas of the world. But we will with time, and will safely. and we've really seen that uptick in want and need to be able to meet face to face. Some of those may be smaller programs that maybe they've been sourced in the past, but the excitement and the want for events to happen is absolutely there, and we're excited to be able to welcome them.
And speaking of this, the future and this weekend, there's a giant hybrid event taking place. It is the Super Bowl, my friends. Believe it or not, the Super Bowl is a hybrid event.
That's right.
The players play, people are in person. And what does the NFL have to do? They have to figure out how to keep your attention to ensure that you stay and watch the entire program. It's a hybrid event. And Hyatt is definitely one of those places that you should probably go and watch the Super Bowl, because you can bring your friends together in different cities and all watch it together because of this package, right, guys?
You're exactly right. We love the fact that we now have a spin on it with the Super Bowl, which wasn't our original intention.
Right.
But we think there's a lot of teeth to be able to sink into it. Talking about creativity, talking about thinking of new things that we can do and put in place. Our sales team and our Hyatt Convention Alliance leaders came together and decided, once again, as a group of hotels, we want to make sure that we can offer something consistently across the board. And within 9 major cities around the country and 10 hotels, the option for people within those respective markets to want to get together, but want to get together maybe at a smaller level, is now there with our hotels. We have a group streaming event, and we'll share this information we already have on our LinkedIn page, that allows people to bring together smaller groups to maybe watch the Super Bowl. Or if a program is happening in a hybrid or virtual way, that a few people maybe within Chicago can come together at a Hyatt in Chicago, get a suite, and have reliable internet to be able to support access to food and beverage options, to be able to be there. I think Sarah was earlier asked about that attendee experience. While we may not be hosting the event, we love to make sure that attendee experience, even at a smaller level, is to that same expectation. So it's a very cool and very creative option, and something that's consistently being offered across our entire portfolio.
Well, I can't thank you all enough. Again, for our audience out there, hybrid meetings are the future. The Hyatt Convention Alliance is this solution. It's not new, but it's new to Hyatt. We've been doing this for a long time. It's just been called streaming, but now it is hybrid meetings, virtual, whatever you want to call it. So this solution is phenomenal. It's flexible. Reach out to your Hyatt GSOs. Reach out to anyone here on the panel. They're experts. They can get you connected, and they're flexible. We want to have meetings come back. Again, I can't thank you guys enough, and thank our audience for watching. Next week on MME Weekly, we're diving into catering. So a lot of us want to understand how to negotiate better when it comes to catering. We will be talking about that. So thank you all for tuning in. This, again, will be uploaded as soon as the show is over on Meetings Made Easy on LinkedIn and Facebook. So have a great day, and thank you for watching.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.